Hello, it's Ruthie. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been here, and I thank you so much for coming back. If you do happen to be new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and thank you for joining me and finding me however you did. If you enjoy my face and what I have to say out of my mouth, then I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button or the like button or both, or comment or do any of those things, because it really it helps your girl out quite a bit as far as algorithms go. We know about algorithms, right? At this point, I don't gotta explain that. Okay, we're good. We got that out of the way. Update. This topic is quite troubling. Not something I really want to talk too much about, but I've been, kind of teasing a health update video for a long time to my family over on Insight Timer. If you are watching and you found me through Insight Timer, hi, I love you. I love everyone over there. Wonderful, wonderful meditation app I create over on there. I think I always keep the links to my Insight Timer in the descriptions of these videos, at least in the link tree. Ultimately, I do know that this is my life and my health, and I don't owe anyone this video or any update. And that's not why I'm making this video. I do genuinely want to share with people the development that has happened in my health journey, because it's one that was honestly my biggest fear for almost 15 years now. It has come true. Okay. This is going to be a hard one to film. If you do happen to be someone who is brand new to my channel and have never heard me talk at all, or know nothing about my health history, I highly, highly recommend that you just watch my most recent health history and updates, because that's one where I react to myself 3 years ago. I think that video will be the most concise summary of my entire health history. But if you just like listening to me ramble, I have a lot of YouTubers that I just like listening to in the background, just having talk. You can just start making your way through my whole health history playlist, and you'll get a fuller picture of my life and how it's been up to this point. Obviously, I leave out so much. I know it seems like I share a lot on YouTube, and I do, but it is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much that I leave out from these videos intentionally for my own mental state, So if you do have more personal questions, maybe embarrassing questions, because all this stuff involves poop and people get embarrassed by poop, I get it, but poop is funny. Remember, poop is funny. So are farts. Farting and pooping, very funny. Innately funny stuff. I know that when your whole life is farting and pooping, it's traumatic and horrible, but it's still funny, and we can still remind ourselves that it's funny ultimately. I just know that this stuff can get really heavy and really dark, so I do my best to bring my humor and a sense of lightness to these videos, and honestly, I have not been able to do that up until today. Today I felt like today's the day I could record. I could record this video for my health history and updates. So I'm doing it. I'm hot. I've been recording for a while. So let's get into this, and I will give you a brief as can be update on where my health is at right now. I might briefly touch on some history, but going right into the updates. So if nothing I'm saying makes sense to you, then just please go watch my other videos before watching this one, and hopefully it'll make sense, maybe. So, as brief as a summary as I can do is that I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was 14 years old, and it's a condition, it's in the category of inflammatory bowel disease. It is the inflammation of your colon directly. And the inflammation by nature of colitis is, from what I understand, it's the more puffy kind of inflammation. When you think of something being inflamed and swollen, it's more of that kind of inflammation. And the other type of inflammatory bowel disease is Crohn's disease. And that is more of an eroding away at the organs type of inflammation where like kind of holes are formed in the intestines. And Crohn's disease takes place in the intestines in general. It could be any intestine. And colitis, ulcerative colitis, is specifically in your colon. When I got diagnosed with colitis when I was 14, I knew, it's a genetic disease. And I knew that my uncle was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and he had his colon removed, and he had an ostomy bag, and I think he now has a J pouch. I don't think he has an ostomy bag anymore. But I know that, and I knew this at the time when I was 14, that shortly after he had a surgery to remove his colon, he was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And what they had found out was that he didn't actually have colitis. He had Crohn's disease, but it was in his colon. So it presented itself as colitis. So the cure for colitis is no colon, no colitis. So they removed his colon, and then the inflammation just spread to his other intestines. And they were like, oh, you have Crohn's. So I've known that story for the whole time I've been diagnosed with colitis. And it's always been like up there with my biggest fears that I actually have Crohn's. Because, since if you've kept up to date with my stuff, then you know that it has not been smooth sailing since I got my colon removed in 2015. I've had a lot of additional surgeries. I've had a lot of really weird, unexplainable incidents happen to me medically that require emergency surgeries that have saved my life. I've had a total of 6 surgeries, I think, at this point. Only the first 3 were planned. All the other ones were additional emergency situations that, like, all of a sudden I'm in pain, I go to the hospital, wake up from surgery, like whirlwind situations. And unfortunately, there is a large chunk of the update to my health life that I can't talk about right now, or I don't think I should talk about right now, because it does involve what I consider, and I think anyone would consider, to be malpractice. There's a lot more going on than what I'm going to say, and what I'm going to say is already a lot, so I'm just letting you guys know. What I can talk about is that I have officially been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. At my most recent colonoscopy, or pouchoscopy, because I don't have a colon, so they call it a pouchoscopy. They found a lot of inflammation in my pre-pouch ileum as well as in my small intestine. So it's like my small intestine and then the part that like connects my small intestine to my J pouch. And so by definition, inflammation anywhere other than the colon is Crohn's. So I have Crohn's disease. Biggest fear came true. I found this out a couple months ago at this point, so I have, the information's still settling, but what are you gonna do? I don't know. So I'm on Stelara. I got prescribed to be on Stelara, and that is if you have IBD or, excuse me, even psoriasis or joint stuff. I know any autoimmune stuff, I think Stelara is approved for a lot of different conditions. I had my first infusion of Stelara just about 8 weeks ago. And every 8 weeks, I will be giving myself an injection. And it just so happened that exactly 8 weeks from my infusion is on my birthday, which is Tuesday. So 4 days from today when I'm filming, August 2nd. My birthday's August 6th. I'm a Leo. Anyway. I'll be turning 28. I'm very excited. I feel like 27 was a really great year for me in general, and 28 I think will be even better. So, and I think it's just going to keep getting better, if I'm being honest, based on vibes in my life and in my brain. And obviously there will be hard things to come, but in general, I think I'm on an upward trajectory and it feels good. Finally, I've earned it. Anyway, I don't really feel much relief yet from Stelara. They weren't expecting me to. They said it might take a few injections in order to do it. And unfortunately, the injections happen every 8 weeks. So it's going to take a long time. But I have a nurse coming to my house on Tuesday, happy birthday to me, to give me my injection. But I'm choosing to see it as a birthday gift. And like, this is going to make me feel a lot better. So it's perfect it happens on my birthday because it'll help me feel better. Even though a lot of these injections make you feel sick right after. I didn't get sick after my first infusion, so I'm hoping that I'm not going to get sick after this one. But I have been on a lot of biologics before. I've been on anyone you can name, probably. Just off the top of my head, I've been on Symphony. I was on Humira for a long time, methotrexate for a long time, the Lialda, that was a pill. I've been on a lot of different medications that are in this category of medication. And my GI told me that in comparison to the other ones I've been on, like Humira and like methotrexate specifically, those are the ones I was on most recently, this is way less of like a big deal. She kind of said it like that. Like, it doesn't fully suppress like your entire immune system. It focuses more on like the target area, I guess. I don't know how, but I mean, I don't understand it. But apparently it's not as like intense of a medication to be on like the ones I was on in the past. So that I'm very grateful for, because I did take a lot of steps to like prepare myself to get off of Humira, because I didn't want to be on it anymore, because I would get sick all the time, and it was a shot I gave myself once a week, and I would be sick the day I gave myself the shot and the day after, and it was just like it felt like it was not helpful enough. But, you know, as the years have gone on and I've just put all of my eggs in the basket of like lifestyle and diet and like things that are in my control, I'm just realizing that it's too much pressure to put on myself, and it's also not safe necessarily, because I do live an incredibly healthy lifestyle and eat what I can tolerate. I have an extremely restrictive diet just because I can't tolerate so many different things. I teach yoga and meditation. I do yoga and meditation every day. Like, I do all of the things that if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, she's like injecting herself with poison, like she should just try yoga, or she should, like, if you're one of those people, like, I'm sorry, I've been there though. Like, I get you, but also no, and stop. Just stop. Because the rhetoric of like every single medication being poison has caused so much harm in my life and in my body. It's literally, it almost killed me. I have a whole video about that. I really have to be careful with myself and how I talk to myself about medicine and calling it medicine, because I used to call it poison. Like, anything that came in a prescription bottle, I'm like, that's poison. Like, it's big pharma, bad, everything bad. Like, they don't want to help me. They just want to kill me, blah, blah, blah. And like, the pendulum swings as it does. And I am back in the middle, where I know that there are aspects that have saved my life and that I need in order to still be alive that are a part of Western medicine. And there are aspects and things that I need to stay alive and to keep me alive and happy that are a part of Eastern medicine, you know, more holistic stuff. ¿Por qué no los dos? That's the mantra. Why not both? Why not? Why can't we have both? Why does it have to be one thing or another? And unfortunately, in a lot of the healing, yoga, wellness spaces I exist in and have existed in the past, really just try to make you feel bad if you're sick. And it makes no sense to me, because it's like, this person's already sick. Like, why are you trying to like tell them that it's their fault that they're sick, that they just didn't think positively enough and that's why they're sick, or they have some like deep seated past life trauma, childhood things. It's just, you just haven't unearthed it enough. You just haven't worked through you haven't done enough shadow work to like get through all of your shit. Like, I'm sorry that I sound like bitchy making fun of them like that, but I'm making fun of myself because that's literally how I used to be. Like, I spent 3 years being like that, like fully believing that, oh my God, my solar plexus is the home of self-worth and confidence. And I grew up modeling. I always told myself how ugly I was, how fat I was, how disgusting I was, because I thought it would motivate me to get skinnier and get prettier. But I didn't know that like my thoughts had impact on my life. And like, that's what caused colitis, is like the conclusion I came to. And I have no doubt my horrible self-talk and self-worth contributed to the extent that my disease accelerated, and to how fast it accelerated, and to how bad it got. I really do think that it played a big role in just how bad it got, but it was not the cause. It was not the only thing. It's a genetic disease. I have multiple family members with the same things. For some reason, it's very common with Ashkenazi Jews, and that's like half my family is Ashkenazi and the other half Sephardic, or I guess a quarter, whatever, Jewish. It's very strange, but it's a very common. And I'm wondering, if you're watching this right now and you have Crohn's or colitis, are you of Ashkenazi Jewish descent? I'm wondering. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, it's a weird thing that just happens. And with this diagnosis of Crohn's that I'm now coping with, it's a lot to go through and to sort through mentally, and just like, this is why I didn't want to make a video about this, and like why I've been putting it off, is because I don't really have that much to say about it besides I got diagnosed. I'm starting treatment with stelara, and it sucks. I'm in pain constantly. And then the other stuff, like, and I'm on another new prescription for this other thing that I can't really talk about because I think I can say this. It's the result of malpractice. Like, I suffered malpractice in 2018. Horrendous malpractice that I literally blocked it out of my mind. I don't know if I've ever even talked about it on YouTube. Maybe I have. If you've watched some of my videos recently, maybe you can let me know. Have I ever mentioned this? Like, in 2018, a hole was poked in my small intestine. So like, I've known this for a while. Fuck it, I can share this stuff because it's all real, and I'm not making any accusations. This is all documented facts. This is another video I wanted to make, but maybe I can just include it in this one, like a story time of why it's always best to travel to the best hospital. You know what? Fuck it. I am going to tell this story because everything I share is going to be complete facts, and there's evidence, and it's my documented personal history. So I think I can talk about it. It is always best, if you have the option, if you have any wiggle room time-wise with how bad your situation is, it is always best to drive further to a better hospital than to go to the closest one that is shitty. And I will tell you why. So in 2018, I had my first bowel obstruction, but it was my first one. I had no idea what was happening. All I knew was that my stomach was blown out to here. I looked pregnant. I couldn't move. I felt like my stomach was a balloon, and if you touched it, it was gonna burst, and there would just be intestines everywhere. Like, it was so painful, and I couldn't even move. I was like curled up on the bathroom floor, couldn't throw up, couldn't poop, like nothing was coming out of me. It was just, I had a bowel obstruction. But I didn't know at the time what it was. So I'm living in like Crown Heights, and in Brooklyn, New York, and the closest hospital, I like just Google really quick. I'm like Mount Sinai, because all my doctors were out of Mount Sinai, and the Mount Sinai that my surgeries had been at was uptown in Manhattan, which would have taken at that time, it would have been like an hour and a half, 2 hours for me to get there. And I just felt in my body, I don't have that much time. Like, death felt so imminent, and it was. So I searched Mount Sinai, and there was a Mount Sinai that popped up that was like a 15-minute drive down the road. I was like, oh my God, there's a Mount Sinai, Brooklyn? I had no idea. Hell yeah. I somehow hobble my way out of the big apartment complex and through the courtyard and into an Uber where I just like plop down, lay down, just bawling my eyes out. He's like, I'm like, Ubers are cheaper than an ambulance. So, I take the Uber there. And as soon as I stepped foot into the hospital, I had such a bad feeling. I was like, I shouldn't be here. I have to, like, no. But I was clearly in so much pain. I clearly could not make it uptown. I was just like, help, like, and it was all kind of a blur. Before I knew it, I had an NG tube in my nose the first time that happened. So, the nurse puts it in. She's just like, she doesn't even explain to me what it is. I had no idea. Again, first bowel obstruction. I had no idea what an NG tube was. I know very well now what an NG tube is. So she basically goes, yeah, it's just like this tube. We're just going to put this in your nose. And what it'll do is it'll go down into your intestines and it'll like vacuum everything out. So like suck everything out of you through the tube so that because you're blocked, She's like, but the thing is you have to swallow it. So like she's shoving this tube up my nose and like I have to take like sips of water so that I can like swallow this plastic tube going down my throat. It's like just horrible. It's just as horrible as you would imagine, and then worse. It feels like there's glass in your throat. It's just awful. And I could barely talk because it feels like there's glass in your throat. And I'm just like, how long does this stay in for? And she just goes, as long as it takes. And I was like, huh? Like, what does that even mean? What kind of answer is that? That's not an answer. How long is this shit going to be in me? Like, what's going on? It ended up being in me for 72 hours. 72 hours. I had to try to sleep 3 times with that shit in my nose and in my throat. It was horrible. And during that 72 hours, they did a CT scan on me. And what do they need for their CT scans? They need barium meal, apparently. They didn't need a barium IV, which I know that they could have used at the time. And barium is just used as contrast so that they can see the imaging more clearly. But for some reason, some doctor somewhere and some nurse thought it was a great idea because I couldn't swallow the barium for the contrast. They thought, oh, we'll just put it into her NG tube. Barium meal. So they're feeding barium into my NG tube, and I just remember screaming at the top of my lungs, thrashing about, being a fucking basket case, and just dramatic. Like, it was just the most acute, direct pain I had felt like ever at that time. And I had already had my colon removed by that point already. So keep in mind, it was the worst pain I had felt and been aware of. And I'm screaming and moving, and they can't get the imaging because I'm screaming so much and can't stop moving. And I'm like, something's wrong. And they're like, it's fine. We just need you to calm down. So there's pumping me full of morphine. And now I just feel like high as fuck and still in so much pain, still bawling my eyes out because I'm in so much pain. But I'm doped up. And so whatever, they get their imaging done. I go upstairs. I end up staying at that hospital for about a week. And I didn't hear anything. As far as I knew, they took out the NG tube, blockage was cleared, whatever. I'm just like, that was horrible. I go home, still in so much pain, but I'm like, I've never had a bowel obstruction before. Maybe it's a long recovery. I don't know, whatever. I just know I'm never going back to that hospital. Fuck that place. And I end up living for 3 months. That entire summer of 2018, I had basically acute barium peritonitis, which kills you in 3 months, like within 3 months. So what had happened was that, my intestines were clogged. There was a tube going into my intestines. And for some reason, they thought it was a great idea to put barium meal into the tube that is supposed to be sucking things out of me because my intestines are blocked. So I don't know why or who in their right mind would think that it's a good idea to put something into a tube that's meant to be sucking things out. But they did. So what had happened was that my intestines were like a kinked hose. And what happens if you feed a bunch of water into a kinked hose, it'll burst a hole eventually, because the pressure is just too much that it's not going to unkink, it's just going to make a hole. And that's what happened to my fucking intestines. And then barium meal poured out into my peritoneal lining, my abdominal lining, and my lungs. So it was 3 months later. I have no idea how I even survived that 3 months. When I finally went back to the hospital, I went back because I couldn't breathe, and I never had trouble breathing. And I was like, this is scary. Let me go uptown. So I go to Mount Sinai uptown, and they're like, holy shit, you have so much barium in you. We need to rush you into surgery right away. What took you so long? Why didn't you come here sooner? Blah, 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 like all of this stuff. And I'm just like, cause look what happened to me last time I was at the hospital. That's what, like, trauma. That's why I didn't come here sooner. Stupid question. Anyway, it was just horrible. And I had a catheter put in my lungs it was like this thing in my back where they like put it in, and they slowly for 5 minutes drained the barium out of my fucking lungs. And it hurt so bad, and it made me cry because it hurt so bad. And then every time you cry, you don't realize, but like your back twitches, and then I'd be crying and my back would twitch, and that would make it hurt more. So it was just 5 minutes of hell. Could have told me it was 3 hours, I would have believed you. It was just horrible. And then I have surgery where they open me up and take out the barium, and what I thought was all of the barium. And what I have just found out, on top of now having Crohn's disease, is that there is still quite a bit of barium in my peritoneal lining. To the point where my CT scan, I'll put a picture of it up here somewhere, or over here, wherever I put it. Every little white dot that you see is barium. And it was all barium that they couldn't get out the first time. So it's like encased with scar tissue, basically. My surgeon said the surgery to remove those pieces of barium would be incredibly long, because you would have to go into each individual spot and take out what could be just like a small amount, but there's so much of it. And it was all things that they didn't take out the first time, which means it's harder to get to. And there's so much that could go wrong in such a long surgery, just being under anesthesia for that long alone. And then, risk of perforations. And he basically said there's 100% chance of risk and something going wrong and you being worse off in some way after this surgery. And there's way less than 50% chance of any benefit. That's what I was told. So they've prescribed me nerve pain modulation medication, I think is what it's called, or pain nerve, I don't know the order. A medication that's like, it's not a narcotic, it's not an opioid, but it's for nerve pain specifically. And like a lot of veterans will take this medication daily, or people with like bullet fragments in them. And it's again a long process before I get to a point where I'm feeling any relief from it. I'm hoping within the next 8 weeks, I'll be feeling a world better than what I'm feeling right now, if all these medications do what they're supposed to do. So, fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's always best to travel a little bit further. But what I'm talking about in therapy right now is like, let's walk it through. What if I had driven the 2 hours to Mount Sinai uptown? My intestines could have burst in the car on the way there, like there is so much that is just out of my control, and there's so much that I just have to like let be. And for a long time, I took pride in that there was nothing foreign in my body. And because when people hear that I don't have a colon, I have a J pouch, they assume it's something like artificial in your body. And I don't know why. I just felt like a sense of pride of being like, oh no, it's a smaller colon that they made out of my small intestine. So there's nothing artificial in me. And like, I don't know why I feel such a sense of pride with that. Of just knowing that there's no foreign substances in my body. And, now I know that there is. And I've been in a lot of pain for most of my life, but particularly for these past 6 years. And for the past 6 years, I've I've been blaming myself a lot for when I am in pain. I'm like, oh my God, I ate too much, or I didn't chew the chips that I ate enough, or I didn't eat enough, or I didn't move my body enough. I just blaming myself constantly for every instance of pain I've been in. And now knowing that, like, for the past 6 years, there's been barium rocks literally in my stomach, and my own physical therapist who does abdominal massage on me has said, she doesn't even know this information yet. I haven't had an appointment yet to update her with this, but like, she had literally said when massaging my stomach, it feels like there's rocks in your stomach. She's like, we really got to work on this. Because I was going to her for pelvic floor physical therapy, which I still see her for, but she's like, honestly, I think we need to focus a lot more on like abdominal massage for you. Like, it's kind of crazy. She's like, there's a lot of scar tissue or something. Like, we got to break this up. And like, now I know that not only is it a ton of scar tissue in my stomach, it's also fucking barium. And it just makes me so mad and so, like, I feel claustrophobic almost thinking about it. Like, because of what I just said. Like, for some reason, I had a sense of pride in that there was nothing foreign in my body, and that, I'm in control of my health. And like, when I'm sick, it's because of something I did. When I'm healthy, it's because of something I did or didn't do. And I just know now for a fact that I can't even like fool myself about that anymore, Like, I can't even put it out of my head like, oh, my stomach hurts so bad. Oh, it was probably just that thing I ate yesterday, and then forget about it, because I'm really good at just tricking myself. But I can't trick myself now because I know, and I kind of wish I didn't know because it's driving me a little bit crazy. Like, I mean, it's a bit maddening, honestly, to just think about how mean I've been to myself and how much pressure and blame I've been putting on myself constantly for 6 years plus, that I now know none of it was my fault and all of it is the fault of specific people, a specific doctor, a specific nurse that ordered barium meal to be put into an NG tube of someone with a bowel obstruction. Like, who in their right minds would fucking do that? Like, I know the smallest amount about NG tubes and bowel obstructions, and even I know that sounds like not something you should do, especially when they can give you contrast through an IV. Like, it's just insane, honestly. Like, it's a really horrible, horrible story, and not something I love to talk about. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is my first time sharing this story, but maybe I did talk about it at some point. But, it's heavy shit. And like, unfortunately, the statute of limitations for malpractice in New York City is 1.5 years. Or is it 2.5 years? I think it's 2.5 years. Either way, ridiculously short. Most like repercussions from malpractice aren't seen or felt in the body for like 5+ years, like after it happens, I mean, if it's really bad, it's immediate, and that's what happened to me back in 2018. I just thought it was taken care of. And now I know that there is still, like, I'm still dealing with that. And I had honestly put it out of my head, like, and now I can't fool myself anymore. And that's something that I'm a bit bitter about. Like, I don't know. It sucks. I wish I had like some sort of positive spin to put toward the end of this video, but I don't got one. Sorry. It just sucks. It simply sucks. Actually, I can put a positive spin, because another video I see in my notes that I want to make, and I will make this a separate video because I think it's important enough to do so, is the idea of decoupling health from happiness. I may have mentioned this in a video recently, I don't remember what I say or post, but you know, it's very common that we hear in conversation, like, and in prayers even, just like you pray for health and happiness. Like health and happiness are always kind of together. It's like, I wish you health and happiness, like love, health, happiness, like they're always put together. They're always kind of, you know, hi cutie. Someone's up from their super long nap. Wow. That was a long nap you had, little miss. Estrelita. You want to say hi? She doesn't love being carried, but want to say any sniffs into the microphone? Any sniffs? Or jingle jangles? She's like, just put me down, please. Oh, you're so cute and everyone has to see you, Estrelita. My beautiful Sato. Mwah. Mwah. I love this girl. And Molly's too big to pick up. But Molly, come here. Come here. Up. Up. Molly. Good girl. Here's Molly. Oh, and Essie doesn't like it when I give attention to Molly. Sorry, the microphone's in the way. Anyway, as you can see, my hands are about to be full. So I will just, I guess, tease the decoupling health from happiness now. I'll film that video another time, make it its own thing. But I just want to put it out there. Anyone can think about this and reflect in their own life and in their own relationships and interactions that they've had with people. But some of the physically healthiest people that I know are also some of like the most miserable people I know. And some of the sickest people that I know, like people who are literally bedridden in the hospital, are some of the happiest people that I know. So I know for a fact that health and happiness do not have to come hand in hand. And I also know that as a fact when I just look at my own life. Like, for instance, right now, I am genuinely, and I know it might not seem like it from this video, but I am genuinely the happiest I've ever been. With myself, with my life, with where I'm at, with where I'm going. And I couldn't, like, he's gonna cry. Like, I couldn't be happier on it. I mean, the only thing that would make me happier is if I didn't have to deal with my health issues. But at the same time, like, who's to say that my health issues and, like, how much pain I experience on a daily basis is not somewhat contributing to how much happiness I feel when I feel it, because it's like a crazy level. And it just reminds me of this quote that popped into my head at some point a few years ago when I was writing of, I mean, I say quote, but it just came into my head. I don't know if it exists anywhere else, but the heights of your highs are directly related to and affected by the depths of your lows. And it's like, it's just so true. And like, and I know I've talked about this before, but like the sickest I ever was when I got the most joy out of the smallest things. And I just, particularly for myself right now, I think my life right now alone is just proof of this idea that like, you do not need to be textbook perfectly healthy in order to be happy, because I am, you know, according to all my doctors and like my medical chart, like maybe I'll put a screenshot of like my current diagnoses and current health issues, however they word it, on Patient Gateway. But like, according to paper, I am anything but healthy. Like, my health is not great and never has been, if I'm being honest. I've always had a sensitive stomach. I've always, like, from preschool, like, I remember being in the nurse's office and like crying and holding my stomach. Like, this has been my entire life that I've had a hurt stomach. And I've had a very happy life. And I continue to have a very happy life. And right now is some of the hardest health things that I've ever gone through because of everything I've explained in this video. I'm sure I don't need to explain why, But just being diagnosed with the thing that was like my biggest fear, and finding out that, you know, I'm still dealing with the repercussions of malpractice, it's really fucking dark and really heavy and really horrible. And at the same time, I'm so fucking happy with my life. And particularly like with my love life, with my family life, with my spiritual life, just with life as it is. The good, the bad, the ugly, the horrible, the painful, the wonderful, just every aspect of it. I'm fucking engaged. I'm engaged with a pink sapphire. Look at this shit. Let me pull it. My man has taste. It's just so perfect, and I'm so in love. I couldn't be happier. The only thing that would make me happier is if this medication works, which I'm fully of the mindset that it will. Like, until proven otherwise, I am going to believe that these medications, these treatments that I'm starting will work. And, you know, my doctor said it to me, and it made me cry instantly because she's the only doctor who's ever said this to me. And I think that's pretty messed up. I think people with chronic illnesses should hear this more. So I will say it to you right now. If you're out there, stop crying. If you are out there with a chronic illness, you are the resilient one who has been living with this every single day. You are the one who deals with your symptoms every day. And you've made it. Like, you're alive. You're here. And that was what my doctor said to me when prescribing me these medications, because she's like, I just want to set realistic expectations for you. Like, we're not looking to kind of get you 100% better. And in all honesty, like, you know, stelara, we're hoping will get you a certain percentage better. And then the pregabalin will get you another certain percentage better. And hopefully between these two things and over time, you will be maybe 30 to 50% better than what you're at right now. And she said, and to be honest, you're the resilient one who's been living with no help for 6 years and in this amount of pain. So I'm guessing that any percentage better is great. I just started crying because I'm like, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, I will take anything, like anything, like any percentage, 1%, I would feel like a huge weight lifted off of me, you know? And just hearing from my doctor directly that she acknowledges that I'm the resilient one who's been dealing with this shit. And I don't think we are told that enough. So I want to extend that to whoever you are watching this video, that don't forget. Just don't, because I forget all the time. And I'm very grateful my doctor reminded me of it. But don't forget how resilient you are and have been. And your life, and the fact that you are alive right now and watching this video and listening to what I'm saying, feeling what you're feeling, experiencing your life as you are, that alone is proof of how resilient you are. Because you've been through so much bullshit just to be here right now. And it's an amazing thing, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that we should give ourselves more credit for more often, and that I wish doctors would give us credit for more often. And it's just a solid reminder that we are resilient as fuck. Like, we really are. If you are out here living with IBD or any autoimmune anything, or any chronic illness, or even undiagnosed whatever, these are things you live with every single day. Not even every single day, every single moment of every single day. Years upon years upon years. And people ask us, how are you so strong? Why'd you get so strong? It's like we've been mentally lifting heavy ass weights for like decades, you know? It's like you don't ask a bodybuilder why they're so strong. It's because they lift heavy weights. And we are emotionally strong people because we have to be. There's no other option. What's the other option? Killing yourself. You can't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. You'd regret it. You would. Just hang in there. Hang in there. We can do it. There's always hope. There's always, always hope. Every storm runs out of rain eventually. It just has to. And who knows what's on the horizon for treatments and things in the future. It's very funny. When I said every storm runs out of rain, it started pouring even harder and thundering. God's like, some don't. Not this one, bitch. All right. Well, I think I successfully, happily spun that out on the outro. I definitely will keep reiterating this idea of decoupling health from happiness, because I think it's very important for us chronically ill people to keep that in mind when we are constantly being told and just seeing the words health and happiness paired together as they naturally are, like health and happiness. It's kind of second nature. They're like always paired together. And I think it's a very helpful idea to just think about decoupling those for yourself and what that even looks like and what that feels like to you. Trust me that I know how hard it is to be happy when you are actively suffering and in pain. And I'm not saying that that's possible or that we should do that. I think if you're in serious active pain, you should go get it addressed. You should go to a professional who knows what they're doing and pray that they're honest and know what they're doing. But when it's a thing that's, you know, a chronic condition that you'll have for the rest of your life, I think it's very important that we decouple those things, because, and just defining healthy. Yeah, this is going into a whole nother video, so I'm going to cut myself off now, but I think these are helpful things for everyone to think about, like defining your version of health, what that looks like to you, especially if you have a chronic illness. Your version of health will look different to someone without a chronic illness or even with a different chronic illness, and what happiness means to you. It is very possible to be physically sick and emotionally very happy, and also vice versa. It's possible to be very physically healthy and extremely emotionally unhappy. One does not need the other in order to exist. If you do have any questions for me after watching this video and want to reach out, you can always feel free to reach out to me privately via direct message on Instagram. Sometimes those get lost. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, they end up like in my requests and then I never see them. So the most reliable way to contact me is via email, and I always answer eventually. Full disclosure, it'll probably take me a very long time. I'm super bad with responding, even within a few months, but I do always respond eventually. And I do always hope that when I do respond, that it is worth the wait or helpful in some way. I will put this out there. I'm not looking for advice right now or help right now. I mean, if there is, no, you know, I'm really not. I think I can draw that boundary for myself. I would prefer if, like, you know, if you watch this video and you're like, oh my God, she just has to do this one thing and it'll fix all her problems. Like, and you really, really feel that and you really need to tell me, like, okay, shoot me an email, whatever. I most likely will ignore it. And I hope you understand why, as everything I've explained just in this video and on my channel in general. As I said, I'm very happy with my life. I'm very troubled by these current developments in my health life specifically, but I have a lot of other lives that are happening at the same time that are going wonderfully. So I'm leaning on those lives a bit extra these days, and I don't feel bad about that because it's what I need to do. So, and I'm grateful just to have the support that I have and to be able to lean on anything. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm rambling. I'm really Ruthie rambling right now. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you made it to this point. You have heard a lot of shit to get here, so thank you for sticking in and hanging in there with me. Hopefully I have some more positive updates to come in the future, but I'm mostly excited about sharing like the other video ideas I have. I still do want to film a sketchbook tour because I do have a fully completed sketchbook. You know, I've been filming now for 4 hours, so I'm gonna stop at this point, but on another day I will film a lot more fun stuff and less health stuff until I have more updates. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video at any point at all, feel free to like it and comment beneath and subscribe to my channel and do all of those things. Thank you so much again just for being here and for listening. I deeply appreciate you. I'm wishing you all the best on your own health journey and path toward your version of health and your version of happiness. And I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye. Boop. Bink. A bonk. A bink. A bonk.